In this video, we're going to go over some key questions and some benchmarks that we personally use to get a checkup on our business to find out how are we doing? How is the practice doing? How is the business doing? How is the team doing? So that's what we're going to go over today. As owners and managers of private practices, specifically in dermatology, we're used to people coming and getting annual checks. People who have a skin cancer history have to regularly come in and get their skin checked to make sure that there's no new cancer occurrences. We're familiar with this with our cars. Every so many miles, some say 3,000, some say 5,000, you need to go and get an oil change and get your vehicle checked out. And so just like it's important for our patients to get their skin checked on a regular basis, just like it's important for us to get our vehicles checked on a regular basis, it is important for you to do a checkup on your practice on a regular basis. Ken Blanchard says that feedback is the breakfast of champions. Knowing exactly how you're doing is how we can improve and get better personally. Right now, the Olympics is going on, and the Olympics is full of athletes who are driven by feedback. Their health is getting meticulously tracked. They're checking their blood work. They're checking their heart rate. They're checking the hours that they sleep. How many hours is in REM? How many hours is light sleep? A lot of different things are being tracked with these Olympic athletes. Why? Because they're performing at the highest of high level. If we want to perform at the highest of high levels in our medical practice, it is going to be very, very important that we get as much data and as much feedback as possible. We don't have this all figured out. We're not saying this is the only way to do it. There's probably 1,000 ways you can do this. Here's how we do it. Feel free to copy our example or use something else or find your own way that works best for you. Here are some key areas that you want to ask some questions to get feedback. So we place feedback in two separate categories, but we have quantitative categories that we review, stuff that a number can be attached to, and we have qualitative categories that we review. Something that is not number-based, but you still get feedback and information from it. And so let's go over the quantitative categories. If you're doing a checkup on your medical practice, one of the things that you want to make sure you're consistently checking is, number one, your profit margins. A mistake that we made in the beginning is when we start talking about the financials, we focus more on increase in revenue or, increase in profit. But in actuality, profit margins actually, in my personal opinion, give a little bit more detailed explanation of what's going on, because you could be bringing in more money and you could even also be making more money, keeping more money, profit. So you could be bringing in more money, revenue. You could be keeping more money, profit, or if you want to say EBITDA, because we still got to think about taxes as well. But even with that being said, those two numbers could be going up. But if your profit margins are decreasing, then it's meaning that we have to earn more to actually be able to keep more as we're increasing. And so the reason why we found this was important for us is because we were adding employees, adding additional cost, and the revenue, the top line number was going up and the bottom line number was going up. However, our profit margins were dwindling. It's okay if you're a big box company or some major international conglomerate if you have profit margins of 2, 3, 4, 5, 6%. Because if you're making billions on that 2, 3, 4, 5, 6%, the investors don't tend to care as much. However, when you own your own private practice, you're the main owner and runner of the practice. You're probably the key investor, along with maybe a bank or something like that. And they're probably more like a lender and not an investor. And so profit margins become very, very important. In my personal opinion, the quality of sleep that you get as a private practice owner every night from a financial standpoint is very, very tied to your profit margins. Not your profit, not your revenue, but your margins. Our goal for our clinic is at least 20%. We'd like to be upwards of 20%, but our profit margin goal is 20%. We feel like if we're 20% or above, we're in a healthy range. The next is reviews. Specifically, we're talking about online reviews, customer feedback. And a 5-point scale, I know that's what Google uses. We try to be, our goal is to be at least a 4.8 or higher. Now, some people will say, well, wait a minute, aren't you shooting for a 5 out of 5? Well, we are shooting for a 5 out of 5. However, we recognize that once you get into the hundreds and eventually thousands of reviews, you're going to be hard pressed to find a company or any kind of company that can do have a perfect rating. There's going to be times where the patient or the customer is just unsatisfied. And that's just a reality of the situation. It's not what we aim for. We aim for 100% satisfaction, but we know that that's unrealistic. So if you're at 4.8 or higher, you're doing pretty good. The next is taking a look at the schedule. We're looking at their schedule out 15 days from now. We want them to be 75% scheduled. 16 to 30 days out, we want them to be 50% scheduled. We know if we're at that benchmark, then most likely we're not going to have any empty scheduled days. And as a private practice, one of the most costly things that can happen to you is you have providers that you're paying full time, but their schedule is not full. When you fall into that situation, that's an easy way to damage your profit margins. Again, if you want to keep profit margins over 20%, it's going to be very important that we are on track, at least having providers 15 days or less booked at 75%, 16 days to 30 days at least 50% schedule. And last but not least is, this is very important. This is the qualitative area of the checkup, our internal reviews. This is where we actually solicit feedback from each individual member of the team. And we ask them to rank our practice. Any score less than a 10, they have to answer the follow-up question, what could we do to make it a 10? In actions that we can do, we put a number system on it just to try to get them to get more in depth with their critique. However, we're looking for information, and in this area, we're actually looking for problems. We're actually looking for people who are unhappy. We're actually looking for people who are having conflict amongst one another. We're actually looking for mistakes that we've been consistently making. We are purposely calling ourselves out, because if we call ourselves out, we're in the driver's seat. We're being proactive and not reacting to what someone else says. And so this is the criteria that we use to evaluate our practice on a regular basis. This is our business version of a skin check, if you will. Feel free to use any of these as you like. If you're using some other metrics, feel free to reach out to us. We would love to hear what you're doing. Maybe that's something that we can implement as well. And we wish you much success as you continue to build and manage your private practice.
What other specific topics related to the business of private practice management would you like for us to cover? Please share in the comments below, or reach out to us on social media, or our email address, thedermbiz@gmail.com. Our mission is to create a movement of collaboration and support amongst physician-owned private practice owners. If you would like to join that movement, again, don't forget to like, share, comment, and please don't forget to subscribe.